Hi, my name is Sterling, and you probably already know, if you know my name is Sterling, that this is Learning American English with Sterling, and that's what you're here for. This is a more advanced kind of vocabulary video. I have a more advanced English student who recently asked me to provide some examples of the kind of phrases and terminology that one might expect to hear, or maybe to use, in a typical business meeting relative to an engineering project within a large engineering business. And it just so happens that I worked for many years in such engineering positions for several different government contracting companies in the United States. So I wrote something pretty accurate and specific for her class. And now I'm modifying it a little bit for the benefit of anyone working in an English language project engineering environment, as I once did. And certainly a lot of my Guadalajara students are in that situation. Everything is English language in their engineering related job. Expectations in this kind of business transaction are formally defined in a contract. So now imagine yourself in a meeting at your job in which the employees are being given information that will define their specific tasks in terms of the formalized requirements of the specification for the product that they are supposed to deliver. I divided the text into 4 different identifiable topics relative to the presentation of an informational meeting like this. First, presenting the expectations. Second, clarifying and getting you more information. Third, presenting results. And fourth, closing the meeting. This is all very general. And the following is like an imaginary presentation that's very typical of what I heard presented to us working engineers working in large projects over and over again, given by engineering management and project management people. In the comments section of this video, you'll find a list of a lot of common conversational phrasal verbs that you might expect to hear in a presentation like this. And so I included a lot of them in the text because they sound pretty natural. So here we go. Imagine yourself as an engineer listening to a presentation by a project manager or an overall engineering manager. Expectations. The requirements we have to meet in order to deliver our new product on time are going to depend on your individual efforts. Some of you might be called on to put in some extra effort that you might think is above and beyond the definition or the scope of your jobs. I know we already have been putting in a lot of long hours trying to build business, but we need everybody to be patient in the face of some of the customers' demands because customers can often be quite demanding. So let's talk about clarifying and getting more information from our customer. One factor we need to be very aware of is our contractual obligations. We need to know them inside out. To make sure that nobody's asked to do something that we're not going to get paid for, we have our contract compliance team. We have to be aware that it's important for our profitability and your salaries, of course, that nobody wastes their time working on items that go beyond the scope of the project, the scope of the contract that we're not going to get money for. So try to be firm and fair, and at the same time, Don't let the customer bully you, because a lot of times they'll do that. They'll try to get things out of you. They'll try to get you to do things that you're not aware are outside the scope of the contract. So be sure you run everything by management before you do such things. If you feel like your customer counterpart is asking you to work outside the scope of the definition of your work, don't be afraid to tell them that you suspect that and that you have to run their demands by our contract compliance team. If you're not confident about how to do that or how to say that, then please just ask somebody from my team to step in and help you out. But we'd be glad to do that. You should not feel embarrassed about not being confident, because as part of the team, we all stick up for each other here, and we understand that some people have less experience than others. So don't worry about it. Don't feel embarrassed to ask for help. It's for everyone's benefit. The objective is to work out a solution to every customer desire. But the customer needs to know where the lines are drawn by the contract, and that's the outline of what we have to work under. Well, let's talk about how we're going to present results. In this relatively large system delivery business, we have a 3-stage design review process, and that's going to happen in this project. In the first formal review, called the PDR, Preliminary Design Review, we don't yet have any results to present, because at this stage, we're simply showing the customer all the steps we have to take and that we're going to take to get this job done. During the PDR presentation, it's vital to focus not only on the substance of what you propose to accomplish for your particular set of contributions to the project, but also to really stress the definitions and the boundaries of the contract, and to make it visible that you understand the boundaries of the contract. Now, after that, at the time of the second stage of this formal delivery of the system, in this case, it's going to be about 6 to 9 months down the road, we'll have the CDR, the Critical Design Review, where some of the physical work already will be underway. And if your engineering team is working with a subcontractor, you probably have some subcontract definitions worked out, and you'll need to clearly explain the role of the subcontractor to our customer in your CDR presentation. At that time, you might be asked by customer representatives to answer some questions that you feel, or maybe you know, are outside the scope of your job, or that you don't know about, you have no knowledge about, you have no experience with. If that happens, you'll recognize it if you go into your presentation with a good understanding of how the system specs apply to your particular task. And if you all have been working well together as a team at that point, you probably already will know who to turn to get some immediate help and relief from somebody in our organization who will also be in the audience in the CDR presentation to answer the questions confidently and give the customer a good feeling that we fully understand what we're doing. Be aware also that it's during the CDR that the customer also often tries to twist their interpretation of the specs in their favor. Be aware of that, and remember to work together as a team. We have the contract compliance people to step in there, because sometimes we can provide what they're asking for, but if it's outside the scope of the contract, they're going to have to pay for it, and they need to understand that. That advice usually comes from the contract compliance people. Your job is to provide the technical information and transmit to them who's going to be responsible for carrying it out and how it will be paid for. But remember, we all need to count on each other to contribute as necessary. Now, the third and final formal presentation that you'll be making as a member of this system team is a customer presentation called the FDR, the Final Design Review. In our case, it's a long-term project. It's going to be about 18 months down the road from now. If you have stayed ahead of the game through the whole project and you present your status of where you are in the final design review, you'll do fine. Unfortunately, at every stage of the game, we always meet customer demands to do extra things for free because they're outside of the scope of the contract, even at the final delivery stage. This applies to test engineering as well. We're here for each other, and you can count on maximum participation from everybody in our engineering management team and from contract compliance to support any delivery questions that come up at any point during the project, and especially during the final design review, the FDR. That's the essence of what I had to present. Before we draw this meeting to a close, if anybody has any concerns about anything that wasn't particularly mentioned today, because what I gave you was kind of a boilerplate presentation, this is an open forum, and you might have specific questions that apply to this project. So anybody, comments or questions, please. At this point, normally there will be issues brought up from various contributors to the project, and there will be some discussion. That's just the normal, that's the way things work. You present a boilerplate kind of a presentation like that, and then you enhance it with particulars from the people that are involved. Let me get back into my closing. Okay, then in closing, remember that engineering management, as well as the project coordinating office, is always there to help, so don't hesitate to call on anybody that you think can help you address whatever issue may come up that you have questions about. We can all count on each other, and really a lot of open communication. That's the key to our success and profitability in every project this company does. Thank you all for coming and for being patient. We will be having a preliminary CDR meeting soon to help you prepare yourself for the first meeting, and that'll be announced with plenty of notice. So have a great day, everybody. Thank you for attending. That would be the end of my presentation. As I said, go to the description box of this video and you'll see the list of phrasal verbs and expressions that I tried to include. I know I also threw in a few extras there as I was talking because I kind of ad-libbed part of the presentation. I didn't read word for word what I had prepared. So, and that's the way a presentation normally works too. So I hope that helps you building your business vocabulary. See you in the next video.